The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel and podcast. And we are here. It is a Wednesday night, and we are here to talk about the transfer window. And it's going to be a depressing one because I think everybody's in the same boat here. But I think there's a couple of things which we need to address and go through, and basically go through. Is it as disastrous as what everybody thinks? Is it a complete mockery and a shambles? And I think there's some key talking points that we need to get into and dissect as best as we possibly can from a fan's point of view. I am your host, Kris. I'm joined by Joe and Andy. These two boys have had the pleasure of joining me for this one.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
I think the reason why we've decided to do this one tonight is because if everything goes to plan in regards to, from a Manchester United's point of view, it looks like you have stolen Sesko from right beneath our noses, and I think that's probably the thing that's tipped it over for everybody else, because I think we're all looking at Sesko being the domino in regards to what happens with Isak's future and so on and so on. But we'll get to that a bit later on. I wanted to try and get your opinion and the opinion of everybody who is watching on the live stream tonight in regards to the reason things are so bad right now. We've gone into a transfer window on the back of a season, probably the best season which we have ever had as a football club, full of optimism, full of confidence that this was the one where we didn't have to work under the restrictions of PSR, would have a little bit of leg room, a bit of a ceiling above that we could potentially spend some money. Andy, it's not been like that. It's been far from that. It's been probably the most frustrating window at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think in isolation, if you said to any club, you lose one player, you sign two, and both of them are improvements on what you had, you'd say that's all right. But in the context of where we are as a club and how the season ended and what the future could look like for us, it's been an absolute shambles, really. And I feel bad for saying it because I think Alanga's going to be really good, but it's not enough just getting him in Ramsdale at the minute. Like you say, best season, you can't talk about the black and white days, but in the modern history of the club, by far the best season we've had, certainly in my lifetime. It really felt like winning a cup and getting the Champions League would be transformational for all of us. It's that thing we needed. That's why we were all so desperate to get it, is because it felt like that was going to be the thing that tipped us over that edge. All the PSR nonsense is done. There's no need to sell the young'uns anymore. Like we had the Minter and Anderson nonsense a couple of years ago. No need to do that anymore. We just seemingly had a blank check. And I know we're going to get into it. There's obviously several. It's one of these things where there's clearly not one reason that it's gone wrong. There's board issues. There's issues with just who we are as a club. People on TalkSport say there's geographical issues with Newcastle as well. And there's still time to go. But if we are starting the season with just these two that we've got in and potentially some more out as well, it's a stinker for sure.
It is. What I want to start with, first of all, when we're going through these reasons and dissecting certain things, Joe, I want to start with senior management and boardroom level at this point, because there's no denying that since Amanda Staveley left the football club, July last year it was, thereabouts, that from my point of view and my opinion is on it, and we know that we flirted with a possible point deduction when Amanda and Meredith were there controlling transfers, hence why we had the issue of having to sell Anderson, so on and so on and so on. But we'll just put that to one side for a moment. I feel as if, from what we saw from the documentary with Amanda Staveley, is she had her feet well and truly under the table when it came to likes of negotiations and things like that, and the day-to-day running of the football club. She left on the back of the likes of a foundation being built with the likes of Darren Eales and Paul Mitchell coming in. Obviously, we know that that foundation wasn't strong at all, as we have seen both of those leave now, one on medical reasons, and the other one, we don't even know why he's left. Once again, we'll touch on that as well. But are you under the impression that it has changed and gone downhill since Amanda left the football club? Have we lost that human aspect of it when we're going into like negotiations and convincing a player to join this football club?
Yeah, you can't say that we haven't, because she was fantastic, weren't she? I remember when went through and she was literally like stood on Jesmond saying, it went through and everyone's hugging and laughing. And she was doing interviews saying we're going to win the Premier League. And even in the Amazon documentary, God, when we were trying to get Anthony Gordon, you saw just how much she cared and how much she was nurturing him almost to get him in and say, look, we're going to protect you. We're going to build you up. We're going to make you a brilliant player. And it was a difficult deal to do at the time. I remember in January, we were having to advance cash from the summer to make it happen, but we thought we needed it to. And that was Amanda Staveley, that she had the same attitude that got her the football club in the first place was the same attitude that then got us in so many players early doors. Bruno, Trippier, they were all convinced of this project, and she was a great figurehead. She was this really, nurturing figurehead in amongst all of the Saudi PIF controversy. Her and her dad leaving. Bearing in mind, don't forget that it was a year earlier than what they were initially planning. No, I don't think the full story or the reasons why they left quite so early came out. I think you can probably read in between the lines. The PIF probably looked at it and thought she's done a job. We're getting the right people in, CEOs, COOs, all of this, directors of football. We're in a stage now where we can push on and we don't really need her. That's just the way I see it. However, the track record since she's left kind of speaks for itself. It is not the only reason why we're struggling, 100%. We're definitely a different club and we're a different story to sell than when she first came into the football club, which we'll go into more detail. But just from that figurehead perspective, from that public face, from that from that personality that she brought to the football club, which we'd never really seen before. Even going back to, I'm a bit young for it, but like Freddie Shepherd and all that, I can't imagine that they had the same kind of nurturing intent towards a lot of the players that Amanda did. She was a fantastic person to have in the club, and exactly what we needed at the time. Since she's left, it's been difficult. It wasn't perfect while she was here, for sure.
Which we know. We're not going to get into it now in regards to.
I'm not going to say. Of course. But the transfers. If you just quickly touch on the transfers while she was here, they were. Yes, they may not have been fit for purpose for the long run, but they were wholly necessary to get us out of the shit show that we were in. We were nigh on relegated. We were doomed. I didn't have any sponsorships in. We couldn't attract Chowdhury on loan for £1 million. That's partially down to Mike Ashley not wanting to spend, but you get my point. The signings that we made were absolutely necessary, and she sold a dream. Now her leaving, Paul Mitchell. I don't know the bloke. Obviously, there's been tensions with Howe across the 12 months he was here, and it's not worked. I'm surprised because you would have thought that all that due diligence and the background checks would have been in place to the point where it was a surefire guarantee when he came in we were going to, was going to kick on. He came in with a good reputation. So, in a way, I'm not surprised that she left when she did. But go back to the original question. Yes, it's been a bit of a shambles.
I think with Amanda leaving as well, Andy, I think we need to address a couple of things. It was rumoured at the time that once again it was due to health reasons as well. She was stepped aside. She had so many ongoing cases behind her, nothing to do with Newcastle United, where she was appearing in court, she was being sued left, right, and centre, which, yes, that's going to impact in regards to a running of a football club and your ownership responsibilities at that point. Hence why she did drop from a 10% share down to 6%, I think it was, which I think was swallowed up by the Rubens. Then from then, that's when she left after that, which, yes, that could have been everything in the circus which was going along with her outside of Newcastle. Okay, so let's just say that. Let's move away from Amanda, because just to throw my opinion, like I said, I think we lost that nature inside what Joe's mentioned there, and just how well she came across representing this football club. We'll then go in on a point, Mitchell on the back of this one, and like Joe said, came with a very, very good reputation in regards to a sporting director role. Also, when it came to director of football role, and when it came to likes of a head scout, not head scout, but it was in to do with like negotiations back at Southampton, blah blah blah. Yeah, recruitment. I think everybody was pretty excited at that point and thinking, right, we've had the circus of Dan Ashworth disappear now, which is a whole different saga in itself, because I think the way that carried on for months and months on end has got a huge impact in regards to the project when it comes to the senior level and management at the football club as well. But like I said, Mitchell comes in and we're excited to a certain extent, thinking, right, we've finally got somebody there. We can finally kick on, we'll move. Then that's when obviously we hear that Darren Eales is then going to be stepping aside. So you've got a new appointment, then you've got somebody leaving the door at the same time, somebody who was heavily involved in the appointment of Paul Mitchell as well. And you're thinking, can we just not get people to hang around for more than 12 months at this point? And I know Eales is down to a medical concern. I get that. So I'm not finger pointing at him. Far from it.
Yeah, you shouldn't have got you.
Why can't we just do anything right?
Yeah, it's so difficult. I mean, just piggybacking off the Amanda Staveley point, really, it was never going to be sustainable in any kind of corporation, never mind how complicated football ownership is. You haven't just got the club, you've got all these side companies, subsidiaries, asset holding companies, non-trading companies. There was no way that was ever going to work with just Amanda trying to do everything. So, but even going prior to that, we've never really had a proper corporate structure ever. I mean, you think about when we had Mike Ashley, it was just one chap, wasn't it, doing everything? Lowest paid, was he the lowest paid director in the Premier League? So when we started talking about getting these people in and having a proper board of directors who were responsible for different things, it was all quite exciting. And I can't imagine any other club really gets excited when they change like sporting director or recruitment director or all these sort of nonsense corporate positions. But people just kind of say whatever. I can't imagine Man City or Villa or anyone else are really thinking about it too much, but I think it was just all very new to us. So when we obviously had the whole thing with Ashworth and him coming and going, it was quite big news when it probably wouldn't be for anyone else. And obviously with Mitchell, it seems to be that he was just the right guy at the wrong time or in the wrong place, like with any place of work. Clearly, Eddie, even though in the sort of corporate structure isn't the top dog, he is really. You've got to imagine whatever he says goes. He's got so much influence and so much goodwill that when it didn't work with Mitchell, they kind of just had to get rid of him. And obviously, Mitchell is potentially responsible for the whole Isak saga personally as well. And this whole transition between having Amanda sort of coddling and doing everything to having this proper corporate structure, it's all very segmented. From what we gather, Amanda said to Isak, do you want a contract? We'll sort you out. She's obviously then been kicked out, and Mitchell's come in and said, no, you can't. And it's simple as that, really. And that is just the nature of how businesses are run. People have different opinions. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what the reason is that we can't keep older people. I think it might just be, even just going back to Mike Ashley, it's just such a new thing for the club having to set all these institutions up and get it all running with the right people, because it's not just the directors that have to be in place, it's all the people underneath them. So it all I can say is if it's still like this in a year's time, then there really is a massive problem. I'm not quite at the sack the board stage yet. Because they need to get the board in first. Yeah, that's it. They just need. I don't know what the process is, but again, this is probably going to go back to a wider point we're going to talk about which is who is ultimately doing the interviews, who is the one turning down these deals for players, because someone needs to appoint a board, and it's probably Piff that needs to do it, and it doesn't seem like they are.
Yeah, but like you say, Andy, like we've almost. I mean, what did they say? Was it Jamie Rubin who said it's almost like what was it, 100-year-old startup or whatever it was? Like, we've done this backwards, which is fine. Totally understand. You know, we've appointed Amanda Safely, appointed Eddie Howe, and then we get all the backroom staff in later, which makes sense. But because of that, it's almost been a bit strange, hasn't it? Like you say, bringing in these directors of football,
it just seems a bit amateurish, considering what we were sold when the owners came in. It should be easy to do this.
It should be, and I mean, when you look at the likes of Man City, who are, I think, a perfect case study of, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of, but it didn't take them long to get their shit together and to really challenge.
Well, not just that, but look at PIF generally. They've invested in millions of things, and I mean, obviously, I don't care as much about Live Golf and all this, that, and the other. But it seems like all of that works fine. The Saudi League works fine. There's no corporate issues.
This is their bread and butter. You would expect.
They should be able to do this easily.
Yeah. I know it's strange, isn't it? Especially when it's like failed almost like twice now with the directors of football, and I mean, going back to Darren Eales here, there's rumours that he's left the building.
Apparently so, yeah.
No announcement, no replacement. I mean, respectfully, we've known this for the better part of a year.
Yeah,
what's going on?
So apparently, it's obviously we knew you was going. We never knew in regards to longevity and how long he was going to stay, keep on doing his role until we found a replacement. But rumor has it, and we can only go off rumors that he's already gone, and he's been gone a little while, a few weeks now, and it's just been literally thanks very much out the back door, and we've had no replacement, no announcement from.
Well, he should have been there in Asia, really, because I think you were saying it was Silverstone, that Levy was there.
Silverstone, yeah.
Yeah, it's just all very odd.
But once again, that could have been down to like some medical issues and things like that. So I don't want to say that's the reason why. But from what we are hearing is that he's not there any longer. Okay, so there's another senior figure just gone without a replacement at this moment in time. I think what you mentioned there, Andy, was who's heading these negotiations and who's at the front of this when we don't have any senior management in place. And as far as we are led to believe that there's 4 people in control of this. So one is Nixon, the other is Andy Howe, who is nephew of Eddie Howe. The other is Eddie Howe, and the next one is our co-owner, Jamie Rubin. Jamie Rubin has been the one spearheading the negotiations, apparently. Also led to believe he had a phone call with Sesko as well, and that went well until obviously the bid from Manchester United came in. Yeah, it did not go well.
Can't have gone that well.
Story of our summer.
Which once again, you're just looking at the whole circus dilemma and everything around it and thinking, well, that's not your role. You're the owner of the football club. You're not the one that should be doing these negotiations. You're the one that's putting up the cash for this, and that should be allowed and passed on to somebody that knows what they're doing. With all due respect, it's somebody that knows what they're doing.
I agree with you, but the issue is everyone has to report to someone, and I think once we're getting to like above Jamie's level and above Nixon's level, that should be Eales. That then should be going to Al Ramayan and Piff, but it seems like it's that level there that's just not there. So it seems like if someone like Rubin wants to, up a budget for Trafford or whatever, it seems like he's having to like fly to Saudi and try and like pin down MBS himself to try and get stuff done. It just seems like, I mean, where's Al Ramayan and all this? Surely he's the one that has the keys. He's the one with 80% ownership in the club with Piff.
Which gets you to the point. Who's got the final say in these sort of things? Yes, you can have somebody negotiating, but who's got the final say? Is it majority owner in PIF? It's got to be, hasn't it? Fabrizio Romano. I don't get started on him. And it's just something else which you're scratching your head at and you're pulling your hair out. You become more and more frustrated because you're thinking, who's making these shots? Who's calling this? And like we said at the very start, there's so many reasons, but I think one of the big reasons we need to address it is the club being an absolute shambles. Like, it has to be. The way we've gone about our business is being pretty shocking. And I think the one which highlights that is James Trafford. We've been trying to get Trafford for over a year now, right? And yes, I know we didn't really know much about the buyback clause which Manchester City had, and that only came to public knowledge, I think, probably about as we were agreed a deal with Burnley to sign him as well. And that's when you think, oh shit, Man City have also got a buyback. They come along, throwing the cock around, and off he goes, which you would expect him to do. If Manchester City comes in for you, and Newcastle's your other option, of course you're going to go to Manchester City. And I'm not here to have a dig at any of those clubs by coming in and doing that. But what I am pissed off about, Joe, is just how we've gone about it. It's been shocking, and I don't think you can sugarcoat it. There's no way to butter it up or anything like that. It's been a mess, man.
Are we talking Trafford specifically, or we're talking to the general window,
Just in
or
general,
just
in general?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely things that were in our control that we've screwed up on, or we're not being good enough at. Totally, and there's stuff that's been out of our control as well. I said on the last one the last video when we chatted about Isak, that the club's been both. It's a bit of a like sort of a crossroads that we've been at with this window, because we've both needed to be ambitious in that second season back in the Champions League. We've won a cup. This is a time to push on, you know. But then we're now in the pool with all the big boys, and we're having to compete with them for the likes of signings, you know. And we've seen for various reasons. I think we can take probably about 8 or 10 case studies from this summer, and each one has got its own specific reason to an extent as to why we're being pipped by one of the so-called big six. Because it has been, you know, we're not been losing out to the likes of Bournemouth or like even Spurs yet, but you know, the really big clubs in England, we're fighting with them to try and get these signings. Now, the question you've really got to ask is, and it goes back to the leadership thing, is why is it when these bids fail, do we not have a suitable backup ready to go? It feels like it's almost, we've got this one transfer, we're going to go, you know, all in for it. And then we're going to drag it along for like 2-3 weeks, and we just get pipped to it, and then there's no backup. Or if there is a backup, like Visser, for instance, I mean, it's going to take forever because Brentford have their own things going on. It's like the stuff that, again, is in out of control, out of our control. It's just been a horrible hurricane of like so many things put together. Again, I will say, you know, the club, like I said, the club's be ambitious. We can't blame them for that. We have slapped down big money for a good few players. We've put down 50 million for Pedro. We've put down 80 odd million for Sesko, easily smashing our record. But, you know, like, I think Sesko's a good example. I mean, obviously it's not been decided yet, but if it's true that he wants to go to Man United, it does go to show that, unfortunately, this pull from these clubs, no matter how bad they seem to be at the minute, how much of a shit show they seem to be in, they still have that draw to some players. Yeah. And that you as a club, you can't do anything about. But like I say, that's when you go to your backup options and you have those available, which don't have that at the minute. And that's where I think the club's really failed.
I think it's correct to a certain point, and Andy, what I want to address is that yes, we are shopping in the same talent pool as to the big six. Let's arguably say, and it's very hard to compete with them for a number of reasons, like Joe mentioned, like so the history that comes with these clubs, and Man United being the prime example of that. Had an absolute shocking season, but they just come along, and because of what they've previously done over the years, and because of the wage that they can offer these players that we're going for, they're just completely troubling us, completely out of the water. We can't just deal with it. But then you've got the argument of saying that, what else do we do? How far do we go down one list before we're just buying players for the sake of it? You want players to come in and improve that. And I think where we are shopping right now is definitely that pool of players that we need. Like, we need somebody to come in, but we're not going to go in and get complete world beaters. Like, just look at Sesko for an example. Sesko's probably at the point now as what Isak was 3 years ago when we signed him. A raw talent, which Eddie Howe, the scouts, the coaches can say something in him. And personally, I think Sesko is going to be hit and miss. I think he's going to be one of those players that can go either one of two ways, right? And I think just looking at that itself, Andy, you could probably look at him and saying from a career point of view in regards to footballing, if he has chosen Manchester United, he's probably chosen the wrong side to go with. Just looking at over the last few years in regards to what Eddie Howe can do with players, in regards to looking at the other side of the coin is what Man United have done to players. But then if you're looking at it from a money point of view, you know why he's gone there. Historic values that come with Manchester United, you know why. So what do we do at this point? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's biased for us to say that from in pure footballing terms, you choose us every time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, just in terms of like the football side, maybe we're not selling ourselves enough to these players to say, look what we've done for Isak, look what we've done for Tonali, look how we support Tonali during all these tough times and da-da-da. So maybe it's that side of it, but I can't imagine it is, because we managed to get Trippier and Bruno in when we were looking like relegation fodder. And again, that's maybe the Amanda Staveley thing, but you've got
But
to
do you think,
this-
Andy, just to jump in, do you think that's because there was nobody else in the market for them at that time? There's rumours with
Well,
Bruno with
yeah.
Arsenal, but there's no concrete bids coming in from at this point. It was Newcastle that were the only team that wanted him. We were the only team that bid for him. The same with Isak. The same with Trippier. I think is that an argument to throw that way as well?
No, I think that is true, and I think we're seeing the Sky Six, as I prefer to call them. They are like quite desperate as well, and they're being very opportunistic with signing. So like Isak, Liverpool don't even need Isak. They've got Ekitike, they've got Gakpo. Obviously, we know that we lost Jota, and he did sort of in footballing terms need a striker, but they're just seeing an opportunity. We're just going to get the best striker in the world because we can. And with Man United, it's pure desperation because they've had the worst season in our lifetimes, and they just pumping money at it. If we to believe the rumours, Amarin didn't even want Sesko. It's purely just opportunism by Man United. They've managed to somehow collect all this money together and get a player. So, and you've got to remember as well, it's not just wages for these players as well. Sesko, when he signs for Man United, is going to get 100 million more Instagram followers, which young footballers probably care about. He's going to get more brand deals. He'll get, a huge deal with Adidas for being Man United's top striker, as opposed to if he came to us. That stuff is all important. And, agents as well. They can say, look, I'm a great agent. I did this big deal for Sesko. I got him into a massive club like Man United. He can then attract more players for himself as well. So there's just so many elements to it. And it's just, I saw that thing on Sky Sports today about who spent the most in this window, and it's all that Sky Six. And then Sunderland in seventh. And it's just like, how do you break through that ceiling? It just feels like you do everything right, which we have done. We've underspent to be so careful about the rules, sold two of our best young talents ever in Anderson and Minter, and then you're still having to then miss out on all these players. So, I mean, one thing I will say is I don't believe it's true at all that players don't want to come and live in Newcastle. I just think that's absolute nonsense. I think that's just the media London crap. It's several reasons, and I don't think we'll ever quite know what it is.
We need to offer out a Greg's Platinum card. That's what we need to do. Forget the
more pictures of bridges.
What I did want to mention, Joe, is just sticking with the likes of the players, because this is the thing which is getting thrown our way as a football club now, that we are reject FC and everybody's turning Newcastle United down. And anybody that's been up for sale, apparently Newcastle have put a bid in and were interested in, which has really pissed us off to a certain extent as well, because from I don't know which account it was, but somebody put out there saying that Newcastle could almost have a full starting 11 based on players that rejected him. Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Arseholes. If we're just going to go through the high profile names which allegedly Newcastle United were in for, okay? And this is something which has been doing the rounds on social media as well. You've got like Cunha, who went from you've got Cunha that went from Wolves to Man United. I think it's been confirmed that Newcastle may have had an interest in him, that he may have been on a list at some point. But
he's class.
There was no concrete talks or anything like that. Did he go with did he have a buyout clause or release clause as well at some? Was that him?
Oh God, you're asking me. Don't think so.
You've got, moving on to another one that went to Man United is Mbemo. Yes, once again he was on a list, but no bid from Newcastle United. Yes, of course he's going to be on the list because
we did chat to him though.
Yeah,
I think we got as far as like chatting to him, but as soon as he gave us his wage demands and stuff, we were like, "Nah, can't do that, mate."
So, because now you go to the player first rather than the club, which just makes
that's quite common though. That's quite common. Man United are doing that to Šeško now, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. But I don't think we made a bid. I think we just basically tested the waters with that one. Okay, but apparently. He rejected Newcastle United.
But that was also just because he would have, like, just generally speaking, everyone knew we needed a right winger, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to just pick out a right winger from a Premier League team and say, you should go there.
Exactly
That's part of it as well, yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah, I do want to dress up a bit, but...
Moving across to Delap, Liam Delap, who went to Chelsea. Everybody wanted Delap. We knew what his release clause was. Everybody was interested in him. Went to Chelsea. Pedro, this is the one. So João Pedro, yes, I think we had a bid accepted.
We got a here we go from your favourite.
2 years ago, 3 years ago. So Pedro eventually went to Chelsea, which leads us to the point of, did Newcastle do enough background checks with Pedro to see that, is this even an option? Does he even want this move?
Well, this is what I mean. This is what I mean about the club being naive. We're going for ambitious targets. We're slapping the money down, but for the first time, I mean, God, like since the takeover, we've basically had players in through the door. Like obviously, not for the last couple of windows, but when we first, when we first got the takeover and we were climbing the ranks, players wanted to come to us, no problem. But we're hitting that elite pool now, and I think the club, not helping the fact that we don't really have much of an organisational structure at the minute, but we're seeing that when we're fishing in the same pond as these big clubs, London clubs, what have you. Like, you can't underestimate the London factor for these guys, like for players. They do, a lot of them, especially.
It was well known, Joe, that he wanted a move to London. It was well known. It was documented before we put a bid in.
Exactly. So you can call it ambitious. You can call it, shy Ben's getting out and all that. But at the end of the day, we've come away with an out, and that's the issue. So I mean, what's it to say? We've tried, and we just, as soon as Chelsea come in, we don't have a chance.
Exactly that. Moving on to likes of Trafford.
That
was all but agreed, wasn't it?
Right. So from correct me if I'm wrong, but City came in before the Club World Cup this summer, so back like May, June. I don't know. I think they then did not have like a verbal agreement with Burnley or something that they would tell them if another team came in, and then they would be able to at least match it, if not exceed it. I don't know what was already, so we weren't to know that, and you can argue that that's the reason why we should have acted earlier. But in terms of this transfer window, it does sound like, I mean, we were talking about Trafford since like early July. I mean, it's about the only thing he's had to talk about on the old smiling faces.
2012,
Aye, exactly. Like, I think Decker said that we've been scouting him since his mom got pregnant, which is
in the womb.
He says he was in the womb, and we're just having to wait until like the month after City sneak in this buyback clause.
As soon as City were there, that was never happening.
And you know what? Again,
he's turned it down.
Well, I'm not being funny. I'm pretty sure he went through their academy, didn't he? Like, he does like, he loves City, and if you look at his video from his announcement, he was like, obviously he's always going to say, I always wanted City. But if that's what he wanted, then that's it. We did what we could, and we've been pipped by, again, a structure in a club.
I think there's a caveat probably with that, Joe. We did what we could, but it took a fucking long time to do it.
I'm not denying that. We have been really slow with all of these deals, and like I said, we're being shown up by clubs that are experienced in this, that know how to play a little bit dirty in the transfer window, especially with these high-profile deals.
Well, you got to think as well, like, this is also, Man City have had this, they've been doing this for a lot longer than us.
That's what I'm saying.
My understanding is that when they sold Trafford, they actually had it in their sale agreement with Burnley that it was almost like a buyback, but not quite, where you almost like a first refusal up until a certain point. That's the sort of thing that we obviously can't do. I mean, we probably haven't done that with Anderson. Maybe in 5-10 years' time, when we're re-signing Alfie Harrison or the Korean lad or whatever, we can maybe start doing stuff like that. But I mean, when you've got the players already there, you hold all the cards, don't you? Like, look at Chelsea with their 5 million squad. They can just go, we'll sell it. We'll sell a few hundred of them, and that's the next few transfers.
I'm gonna quickly go through the rest. And I'll stick with you, Andy. Just moving on. So kudos. His name's been mentioned. Like, piss right off. Like, not a chance.
Just another right winger who's good.
That's it, mate. That's literally just an excuse to slip, like, to get Spurs into that list of the big six. We were never in for kudos. Anyway, next.
Of course not. Next one. I'll go with Andy on this one, Joe. So next one is Ekitike. I'm going to give you that one.
Oh, by all means,
I'm going to give you that one.
I don't want that one. Well, we obviously wanted him, didn't we? It's the most shambolic. I mean, this is somehow not the most dramatic thing that's happened to us in the transfer window. We thought we had him. Then it was like, Newcastle are just going in for him because it makes Liverpool try and get him so they don't buy Isak. It turns out they want Ekitike and Isak, so we've shafted ourselves royally there.
Like, literally replaced within 2 weeks.
I mean,
like,
there's there's people who say that our boards and our recruitment teams an absolute shambles, but then are also saying that we deliberately drove the price up for Ekatike just for Liverpool. Like, do you think our recruitment team can't even sign a goalkeeper? I don't think they're playing 4D chess with Liverpool about people's transfer fees. So
not that
no,
deep.
I mean, yeah, that would have been a great signing. Although there was part of me a bit annoyed that we'd give the lad a second chance after the whole when he went to PSG and was kind of maybe laughing at us on his Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, but again, he's like Sesko, who he might be terrible in the Premier League. He might be absolutely shit. But this is it. We still don't know. But yeah, we wanted him and we didn't get him. So that was definitely I've chose Liverpool over Newcastle. Can't argue with that one.
I'm not even going to go through the rest of them because there are two on my list. I've got no connections to Newcastle, the transfer news, apart from Gay, which has gone quiet this summer. So I'm not even going to throw him in that one as well. Do you think, I'll stick with you again, Andy, do you think it is a case where maybe we have been too ambitious in this one? Or is this exactly where we should be right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to be emotional because it has been just generally embarrassing. I try and stay off social media, but the whole conversation about Newcastle being, I don't ever really get into the obsession with the big club, small club thing. But clearly, in terms of our ability to get players, we are just a level below those big boys. And it's painful. And have they been too ambitious? Well, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't, because if we just keep trying to recruit the same sort of players, people will just say, well, we haven't really done enough. I think some people would say we needed players to improve the first 11. I know that's what Howe wanted, but then you can make an argument that the first 11's bloody great, and all you need is people just to come off the bench and make an impact, a different profile of player. So I don't blame them for logically just going, right, we've been getting these sort of B+ players, it's time to get those A+ players. But it just seems to me that they've been, yeah, Joe got it right with naive, but sometimes just a bit too meticulous and trying to be too perfect with the recruitment as well. Trying to get the exact profile player that they want because we know that's worked in the past. But you could also say that we have been lucky in the past, like you say, getting players that no one else was really in for necessarily. Getting lucky that people like Isak and Bruno, who could have gone either way. We were lucky that we had Howe to bring them through. So yeah, it's easy to look back in hindsight and say we've done a terrible job, but at the end of the day, if we got Trafford, got Ekatike, got someone like Sesko, we'd all be saying we've done the right thing and we're going to push on and win the lot, as we were saying.
I think it all comes down to PSR, Joe, as well. We can't deny that. We can't just not discuss that.
We made it so far without PSR.
Well, it's because it always comes back around, doesn't it? Like it's always going to be the case. We wouldn't be in this position now if we were able to spend the money that we do have behind us. Like we definitely wouldn't be, right? We've got so many restrictions in our way. We're just looking at what was that party transaction thing called that came into place just to stop us?
Fair market value for related parties.
Yeah, fair market value and all that sort of shite that came in just to prevent Newcastle United from spending money. We knew why that was there, Joe, and we're seeing now that it's working because Newcastle have now hit that ceiling where we're trying to push on through. We're trying to break on through that, and we just physically can't. Or we probably could to a certain extent, but we'll just probably have to buy players that we don't necessarily need or will improve our side. Now that we're on that next rung of the ladder and we're trying to invest into talented players, which are also being recruited by everybody else, that we're just hitting so many hurdles now. And whether that's down to the elite side of things, when you're looking at the likes of Man United as a football club, or if you're looking at just down to wage structure and the wage packet which these clubs can offer. What's your thoughts on that? Because I think it is a huge stumbling block for us. I think if it was an even level playing field here, if it is between Sesko going to Newcastle and Man United, I think it's going to be a hell of a lot closer than what the media are making out. I think that wage will come into it a hell of a lot.
Yeah, 100%. No doubt, PSR is a massive stumbling block for us. It can't not be. We're not going to be able to do what City did, what Chelsea did. However, I will take a step back and try and be a little bit optimistic and say, look at Liverpool over the last 15 years. Because in the 2000s, they weren't doing great. They were all right. They were still a top Premier League club, but any scouts will say that's probably one of the low points of the club. They weren't investing heavily. They didn't have loads of, sponsorship deals. Man United were running away with everything. And over the last 15 years, they have done what they could to basically grow pretty consistently. Not they haven't shot up like the City did with a massive investment of cash. I mean, it seems like they've kind of done it the way that it should be, or under what theoretically PSR should be. Naturally, yeah, right. So it can be done, and I think we do have to remember that we are really, really early on this process. We've shot up quick, and that's why we've been like a deer caught in the headlights and going, oh shit, won the Champions League twice, we've won a cup, this is perfect. We're on a great platform to build. And it's easy to compare ourselves to Man City when they've done it so recently. And we've seen how quickly they can get success. They won the FA Cup in the first 3 years or something, 4 years. And then obviously won the league title not long after that. So naturally,
it is also Liverpool's fault that partly their fault that the transfer market's so broken anyway, with the Coutinho sale, Andy Carroll purchase. They're also partly to blame for how inflated fees are. What was Coutinho?
Yeah, but then
170 million or something ridiculous.
You could argue that about Real Madrid, mate. They bought Ronaldo for 80 million, bought Bale for 90.
Well, the Neymar one broke it completely, didn't it?
Yeah, Neymar, absolutely. So, point is that I think we are very early on our journey, and it's not I think people are acting like this is it, and that there is absolutely no chance we're going to be able to grow anymore, and that this is going to always be the case. Yeah, I totally understand that as we grow, the other clubs will grow as well. But my point is that if you take Liverpool as a case study, it is possible to get back to the top and to get, back into those high ranks. It'll take longer than what we could without PSR restrictions. And yeah, it is a bitch. It is an absolute bitch when you've got the richest owners in the world saying, we're here, here's all the money, but we can't use it all. I don't think we can, lie all this purely at PSR's door. I think we just have to maybe take stock and go, okay, we're 4 years in. Yeah, things could be better.
Yeah, ownership could be doing better. We still don't have a training top sponsor. We've obviously just got the Guinness sponsor. All that stuff takes time.
Right. The last couple of years, it felt like every single week we were getting a new commercial sponsor. We had Red Bull, Monster. We had obviously
Adidas.
Noon come in as the Adidas. We've had a massive influx. It's just going to take time, and I think there is a reason that they're not. This club is insane as to why we don't have a training ground.
Did you
sponsor.
see that?
I think they're waiting
did
for
you
this
see that video? Did you see that video in Singapore where they had the two club shops of Newcastle and Arsenal?
It's awful, wasn't it? It's history. It's global farming.
That sums it up, really. That's what it's. That's it. That's the ultimate metaphor for what's going on.
We're still so early on, man. We're still so early on.
It's of course it is. Yeah. It's a lot of it's down to commercial growth and things like that with PSR. But you can't overlook the likes of the lack of sponsorship and commercial deals that we've had for likes of possibly the stadium, the training ground, training shirts, and so on.
We could be doing more. Of course, we do more.
Of course we could. But then I think you've got to look at these other clubs as well, which are able to fund these wages and things like that, Andy, and think, right, they've had X amount of years behind them now where they've brought talent in young as well, and they've been able to spend quite cheap in regards to the talent, grow them for a few years and sell them on, which helps. Mm-hmm. Probably something which you could argue that we had to do that with Elliott, but Wahan was forced to do that. We didn't necessarily want to sell him. Over the years, you would expect that to change because as a football club, we have invested heavily in regards to the younger lads coming through. There's been so many lads that we've bought over the last handful of years. But then we've got likes of Shola in charge of sending those God knows where on loan, which is a whole different story in itself because I've got no confidence in him either. But I think what I want to end it with... what I want to end it with is because there's been a couple of comments, and if anybody does have any questions or anything, quickly put them in through, and I'll go through as many as possible in the last 5 minutes. Is a lot of people saying that PIF are funding other clubs now when it comes to buy-in for the Saudi league. You look at likes of Nunes is going to be the latest one that's off to Saudi as well, which just puts more money in the pot of Liverpool to reinvest that into the likes of the Isak deal or so on and so on. Are you in agreement with that? Do you think PIF have given up on this project?
Well, it goes back to the other point about it's easy to be emotional because we're in it now and it feels like that. I mean, they care. They definitely care more. Well, PIF as well. You say PIF don't care. Like PIF is a group of people. It's not like one person,
Yeah.
is it? So
Yeah.
you know, someone in PIF might care a lot about Newcastle. Someone else in PIF might care more about Live Golf. Clearly, they love the motorsport. They love the Saudi League. There's lots of things that are very good for sports washing, very good for the brand of Saudi Arabia. Newcastle, I mean, does it really do sports washing? I mean, we obviously put the green top out, which apparently you're not allowed to talk about. But obviously, we
Doesn't exist.
But it's not like when you're at the F1 and you see Aramco constantly around the entire track, and it's not like Live Golf where in the boxing where you see like Saudi delegates and all the get up there and you.
Do you think that's because
Saudis.
they're not allowed to do it though because of the rulings that came in?
Yeah,
Do you think it'd be different?
Yeah, and it's. I mean, we'll never know because we don't know what the motivation of PIF was when they bought of them. It's easy to say that PIF just wanted another investment. It's easy to say that they wanted a sports washing thing over here. You could say that it was just Amanda Staveley's passion project, and she just used those connections in the Middle East to get it done. We don't know what the motivation is. If we're led to believe that Al Ramayan is absolutely raging, but that could all just be to save face for PIF as well. They could just say that we're fuming about all this, but ultimately he should be in Newcastle, you know, kicking doors down. So yeah, I don't think they've give up on the project. I just think it's a lot of effort for them, and they've got the spread across. I mean, we always say this when people talk about sports washing. They're invested in Facebook. They're doing this, that, and the other. They're doing so many different things.
Yeah.
I just think that we're not the number one priority, but I don't think that necessarily means they don't care.
And I just want to address a couple of the comments that came in. Me asking this question, as always, I'm the one that's delivering the questions which are coming in. I'm saying on online. That doesn't mean I'll do that. I don't believe that as well. I've got to be quite on the fence and ask the questions to everybody else that we do get on the podcast. So those in the comments don't say, well, they've done this, they've done that. I'm not saying that. We know the investment.
Kris.
Well, we know the investment that PF, they paid 300 mil for the football club. We know that's gone through the roof now. We know Newcastle United as a football club is a hell of a lot worth more now than what it was previously. We know that. Okay, we're not saying that. We're just saying that this is what's been highlighted on social media by both Newcastle United fans and fans of other football clubs as well. So, of course, we're going to talk about it on a Newcastle United podcast as well. There's a couple of questions. I'm going to quickly go through them, Joe. I'm going to start with you. And this one is from Nathan Bullock that says, does Howe survive this season if it goes badly?
Badly as in what, we finish outside the top 8, we don't get Europe and we crash out the cups and that? No, because I mean, for me, the way that the board is currently ran or lack thereof, who's going to be there to fire him? And I mean, you know, a bit tongue in cheek, but seriously, we've seen how much power Howe has, rightly, you know, like I'm not saying that he's going around dictating everything, but like anyone who comes in to what if something goes wrong, Howe gets sacked in the first like in the first year of them being in or what have you?
I think we would, as a fan base, we would all be unbelievably shocked and annoyed if Eddie Howe was to be sacked.
Listen,
he would have to
his
walk,
track record here. Yeah, his track record here has been absolutely. And listen, I know that managers have been sacked for like not a lot in the Premier League, like historically, but goes back to what I was saying. We're almost like a startup from 2021. It's an exceptional set of circumstances that Howe finds himself in terms of his power dynamic at the club. For him to have a bad season, given all the backdrop of everything, I think he's got so much goodwill and ammo in the bank to turn around and say, listen, this is not my fault. I've shown you what I can do. I've got us out of relegation scraps. I've got us in the Champions League. I've won us a cup. I've got us to another final. You really think this is me? I don't see it.
It would take like losing the dressing room, wouldn't it? It would be something catastrophic.
It would. But look at the harmony and look at how good it has been for the most part in the dressing room. The fact that Isak is turning around and spitting his dummy out because he wants to go to Liverpool is probably the most controversial thing that's happened within the dressing room. Like since, I don't know. I'm trying to think of
Diary
something.
boy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's been nothing. There's been nothing, has there really? Like,
There's been your
well,
slight
Lascelles
fallouts where
filling in.
Lascelles
That's
brays
the thing.
everybody. Aye. Yeah.
but Lascelles can't bore everyone because he's lush and
Has he brayed? He's like yet.
I hope so. We'll just give him a slap across the head and say what you're playing at. So, short answer: no, he's fine.
Yeah, I
Build him a
think
statue.
I think just to go back to the last question as well in regards to PIF losing interest, Andy. Like, I think all we need to do is look at the bids that we have been putting in for players and see that there's money that we're trying to spend. We just can't get it over the line. I feel like I'm Podju, yeah.
So, one thing that we haven't really spoke about specifically is, I know we've chatted about the players that we've tried to get in, but we need to address the difference in strategy compared to previous years. We've never seen us go for so many Premier League players before, have we, in one go? Like, I think, Tonali, Bruno, Trippier was over Atletico, like Isak, all these players have come in brilliantly from abroad and have hit the ground running. Yeah, we've got some Premier League experience, Dan Burn, Nick Pope, etc., but they weren't players that were courted by the top leagues, top teams in the league. And that, I just wonder why we've completely abandoned that strategy. We did sort of talk about it earlier. I know Andy mentioned it. It's just strange that we seem to have completely deviated what's worked so well in the past. I don't know if it's just because we're looking at it and thinking this is guaranteed and this is more likely than not to build on it and bring success in the Champions League. But
it's like we've been going for like more obvious signings, isn't it? Like, and you could
it's the kind of stuff
with
that
the recruitment team being weaker, it's like it's almost like the FIFA signing where you just search for a position and go, he's good, he's good, he's good.
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Maybe less meticulous than it has been in the past, but we just don't know, do we? At the end of the day,
it's hard,
we've had deals agreed with clubs. I mean, we had an 85 million euro deal agreed with Leipzig. It's like,
absolutely,
what can you really do there? And I get it's frustrating, but at the end of the day, there's been like effort. Apparently, they were working absolutely flat out to get that deal done, obviously knowing what was coming. And the lad just doesn't want to join us. And ultimately, if you're Ruben and what's left of the recruitment team, you just got to say, wait, you just go home early from work, don't you? And you just have a bath and you say, well, go in the next day, try and do something better next time.
Have a cold bath and just...
all together.
Yeah, with the toaster.
Do you have any closing comments? All of the questions are things that we'll have covered. To be fair, I don't want to repeat ourselves. But anything that you want to end with?
I know things. I mean, look, we're not trying to cover up the fact that things have been pretty shitty. Like, there's still a chance for this window to be a solid 6 out of 10. But in reality, there's deeper issues at play within the club that are obvious and that we've just spoken about. I think it's hard because it's easy to ask for patience at a time like this, but I think everyone's got a right to be frustrated and think we've waited long enough. And it feels like the same things are repeating themselves from last summer as well. Not signing players for different reasons, obviously, because PSR, but there was a director of football goes again. Not much communication from the club. These are just easy things that really would make everyone's lives a lot easier.
The only other thing I had really, and I've not really seen it discussed anywhere, just with PSR, is that not only does it obviously hamper you, but it makes the timings of everything so awkward as well. Like, the fact we've not been able to buy anyone for 2 years, it's then like Newcastle have the money to spend. Everyone knows what we have to do. We have to do it all at once, and it makes it so difficult because if we fail, there's so many big gaps that we could have filled in the last 4 windows that we haven't been able to. So there's that. So it's not just the money side as well. It's the fact that you've got to. The recruitment team are in a really unique situation where they've had to sort of wait all this time and then just go 100% now when everything's a bit of a shit show. When we had the structure in place, we could have been, away with it and breaking into that big 6. But yeah, I think everyone just needs to remember that there's bigger things in football as well. Get off social media.
I think
block
one
Romano
of the things as
and
well.
just The season will start soon, and we'll be well again.
One of the things we haven't really addressed on this one, and something which I think I might have put in the WhatsApp group yesterday, I believe it was, is that I think this transfer window has been quite damaging for the reputation of the football club as well. I think we have looked like absolute amateurs at best. We've looked like an absolute shambles. We're a complete laughingstock across social media at the minute. Whether or not you're on social media or not, it's never nice to see your club being absolutely rinsed across the world. It's horrendous. The only good thing that we've had over the last couple of weeks is the fact that everybody fell for the rumor that was going around that Matt Target was left in South Korea. That's literally the only thing that's been worth looking at in the last couple of weeks. And I don't know. I think as a fan, I'm really frustrated how we look right now. We look. I think I was a bit concerned about how we looked a little bit weak with the whole Isak situation. I think that's being addressed now with everything which we've seen today, but that's for a completely different podcast. I'm not giving Isak the time of day on this one. I don't know. I think we have looked like amateurs, and it is quite embarrassing to see it pan out this way as well. I don't like it. I really don't like it how it's gone, especially how chuffed we all were going into this one and thinking, right, this is ours. This is going to be our transfer window. This is where we're going to put our foot down and say, right, we really mean business here. We're going to bring these players in. They're going to project one to the next level. We're not just going to compete to stay where we are right now. We're going to push and get back-to-back Champions League football, possibly get to another cup final, win another cup, and it hasn't came to that yet. I'm not binning it off and writing it all off just yet. But from what I've seen over the last 2-3 weeks, I'm not confident going forward. Far from it.
No.
The possibility of Isak still going is just going to just kill everything. Like, what's the point? Like, if we go into the season without anything happening, we're like, what a mockery, man.
What I'll say is I will be absolutely shocked if PIF continue to allow this, because it's not just the reputation of the club, it's the reputation of them. They have had such a high-profile status since they bought the football club, notorious or otherwise. Everyone is eventually going to be looking at them and thinking, is this how you run your organizations? Yeah, they might not be priority number uno, but this, Newcastle United is still a massive club. We're still we're still very high profile in the news and everything. Like, they're not going to want to see the amateur hour played out any longer than it is. They're not going to want to see a repeat of this next summer or even January. I would not be surprised if we see a massive shake-up about, in the organization above how in the coming 6 months or so. I really wouldn't. Like, they've got to really get a grip on it, and I think they will. It's but like you say, it doesn't mask or hide the fact that it has been a very disappointing window so far in something that, we were all thinking we should capitalize on. There's still time. There is still time. But we still have lost pre-season. So
I don't mind the narrative of other fans. It is embarrassing, but at the end of the day, you can just ignore them. And then, if I get Liverpool fans talking to me, it's like, well, how many Liverpool games you've been to? You've always got that against them. But it's just if that narrative peters down to, people within the club and agents as well for other clubs, it's that reputation that can really hurt you. It's like, why if no one wants to come to us now, you go to another transfer window, it's like, well, no one wants to go there. If that filters into our current players
big question mark.
and
it's a huge
players in the
mark.
future, it's like you become like the lads it's Tottenham. It's like that sort of thing, isn't it? So I don't really care about being laughing stock of fans, because ultimately everything online is rage bait and trying to just antagonize people. That's just how it is. But when it comes to real life, the actual football club, I think we've got a lot of goodwill to build back up, I think.
Yeah, there has been a donation which I completely missed. Sorry, Josh. So Josh sent a donation in earlier on.
Josh.
I do apologise. And he says, so it's a £5 donation. He says, I can't believe Eddie and the lads left poor Matt Target in South Korea. I wouldn't be surprised if he thinks they're a bunch of arseholes, right? Do you know what? Like I said a little while ago, it was really entertaining. From Frank that put that out, and the fact that people fall for these things
Matt Target
over and
over
over
well,
again. Mental, man. So he's put an Instagram post on later saying made it back in time for training or something like that. So obviously it's gone down well amongst the lads at training, which Alexander Isak isn't a part of. tosser. I'm going to leave it there.
And on that note,
he's a mile away in a car park somewhere getting rinsed by Eddie Howe, apparently.
Honestly. But yeah, thanks everybody who has joined us on this one. There's been over 200 here throughout this one. And we'll be back at some point with more podcasts as well. And hopefully the next time we might have something positive to talk about. But yeah, like the video, become a subscriber. It costs you nothing to do that. If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member. You get early access to videos, you get extra videos, and you do get access to that Telegram group. And I'm bet you that's full of laughs and smiles at the moment as well. We'll see you next time. Much as you're doing. Ta-ra.